Hi, my name is Giuseppe Merolla. I'll be talking about if musicians are made or born and the role of brain adaptation. As you know, I've been a musician all my life. I've been performing since I was 5 and touring with my parents, who are also musicians. I was constantly exposed to music charts every night. Since I grew up in a music household and I worked in the music business for 40 plus years, I was curious to see whether or not I was born to be a musician or if I was conditioned to be one. Before I begin, I want to tell you about brain development and learning. The brain and nervous system is complex. It can do several things at one time. Activity in the brain and nervous system occurs due to interconnections of brain cells and also pathways to many parts of the brain. When something happens, those connections occur quickly, which sends signals to our nervous system. The nervous system helps us survive and adapt to our environment. The nerve cells, which are located in the brain, helps us adapt to change because those cells can change as well. This special capacity is called plasticity. Anything that we experience causes adaptation in our brain. Another topic that I was interested and is interesting to me was the nature, nurture, and debate. There are some people who believe that our personality, our ability to learn, and behavior is influenced by genes and physical factors. Others believe that our environment develops our life experience and learning. I was curious to know how musicians' brains are related to this topic and study. So, I read a few articles that focus on the development of the musician's brain. Those articles talk about why musicians have a certain abilities, such as having absolute musical pitch, improvising skills, memorization skills, performance skills, or even sight reading skills. Those articles talk about the functional and structural adaptations in the brain when it's faced musical challenges. Even the researchers in those articles wondered if musicians had those abilities because they were learned during critical periods of brain development or if musicians were just born with them. Based on my research, it was clear that musicians have extreme differences in many parts of their brain compared to people who do not play music. The corpus callosum, which is a message pathway, is much larger in musicians' brain than people who do not play music. The size of corpus callosum is caused by fast connectings that happens during training and performances. The size of the corpus callosum allows musicians the ability to respond to pitch and sound very quickly. Another area that is very large in musicians is the motor cortex. Because of its size, the motor cortex allows the musician to play well technically and to memorize easily. The size of the corpus callosum and the motor cortex is caused by musical training and how intense it is. Another area that is bigger than usual person is the planum temporal. This area allows people to have a greater word memory and the ability to speak more than one language. It seems that this part of the brain was very large in musicians with perfect pitch compared to musicians who did not have perfect pitch. It was much smaller in people with non-musical training again. Training influences the size of this area in the brain. The last area I'm going to talk about is the cerebellum. This area, which is responsible for motor learning and thinking, was much larger in musicians, about 5%, compared to people who did not play music. This area grows because of training. The training stimulates nerves growth. So are musicians born or made? Some people think they are made. Others don't think so. Many studies were done on twins, which discovered that certain genes and genotypes influence a child's dedication and motivation to practice. Also, if one is born with a genotype that makes them a great musician, it is intense practice that brings this ability out. Also, people are born with differences in abilities to process sound and motor coordination. I learned that because of brain processing and development, I need to practice and continue to pursue my path. It will also help me as a teacher. Also, it's important to continue to surround myself with music. I learned much more information during this project than I thought I was going to. I learned that I'm most likely natured to become a musician. I'm where I am today due to the amount of dedication, practice, and playing that I have been exposed to since I was a child. It seems that environment factors are very important, and this idea will be important for me when I teach my students. Also, I see that practicing is very important, and I need to keep with it at all costs. I need to keep stimulating myself with music because that is who I was shaped to be. As far as genetic playing a role in who am I today, that is an interesting discussion and yet to be discovered. Thank you, Giuseppe Merolla.